Oh Lord, it's good to be here with you. So imagine this. You're about to meet someone important. Maybe it's a job interview, maybe it's a first date, maybe it's just someone you really want to impress. And you tell yourself, okay, this time I'm gonna nail it. This time I'm gonna be charming and confident and likable. And then you walk in there, and within like 30 seconds, you can feel it. You can actually feel the whole thing dying in front of you. And you're stuck there, watching yourself crash and burn in slow motion, wondering what the hell just happened. Have you ever felt that? Because I used to live in that nightmare. Like every single time I met someone new, it was like I had this curse where I'd sabotage myself before I even opened my mouth. Here's the thing that nobody tells you about first impressions. The reason you keep failing at them has nothing to do with your handshake or your outfit or whether you remembered to smile. I used to think that if I just studied enough articles online, you know, the crap that lists 10 or 15 different mistakes to avoid, that I'd finally crack the code. But it doesn't work like that. And honestly, all that advice just made me worse, because I was so focused on performing all these little tricks that I forgot to be an actual human being. Let me tell you about the time I absolutely murdered a first impression in cold blood. I was meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time, and I had spent like 3 days researching how to make a good impression. I memorized conversation starters. I practiced my handshake grip. I even bought a new shirt because apparently what you wear matters. I walked into their house with this whole performance ready to go, and the first thing I did was give her dad this super firm handshake. You know, to show confidence, except I squeezed so hard that he actually winced. Then I launched into this rehearsed story about my job that I thought would make me sound impressive. But I was so nervous and robotic that I could see their eyes glazing over after like 14 seconds. The whole evening was a disaster because I was trying so hard to be impressive that I came across as the fakest person on the planet. Her mom asked me a simple question about what I like to do for fun. And instead of just answering honestly, I gave this weird calculated response that I thought would make me seem interesting. By the end of the night, I could tell they thought I was some kind of weirdo. And the worst part was that I wasn't even being myself. I was just performing this character I thought they wanted to see. So after that nightmare, I did what I always do when I screw something up. I went deep into research mode. I found this 100-page document about psychology and human connection. And buried in, there was this concept that completely changed how I understood first impressions. The concept is this: people are hardwired to detect inauthenticity. Like we have this built-in radar for fake behavior that goes back thousands of years to when spotting a liar could literally save your life. When you walk into a room trying to perform and impress, your brain is sending out all these micro signals that scream, "I'm being fake right now." And the other person's brain picks up on it instantly, even if they can't consciously explain why. This blew my mind because I realized that every time I tried to make a good first impression, I was actually guaranteeing a bad one. The harder I tried to seem confident, the more nervous I appeared. The more I tried to seem interesting, the more boring I became. It's like this weird paradox where the effort itself is the problem, not your lack of skill or charm or whatever you think you're missing. Here's what I learned that actually works, and this is gonna sound too simple, but stick with me. The secret to a good first impression is to stop trying to make a good first impression. I know, it sounds like some hippie nonsense, but hear me out. When you shift your focus from how you're being perceived to genuinely connecting with the other person, everything changes. Instead of walking into a room thinking, "Oh God, I hope they like me," you walk in thinking, "I wonder who this person is, I'm curious about their story." I started testing this, and the difference was insane. Next time I met someone new, instead of rehearsing lines in my head, I just showed up as myself, imperfect and nervous and real. When I shook their hand, I didn't calculate the grip strength. I just greeted them like a normal human. When they asked me questions, I gave honest answers instead of performing some character. And you know what happened? People actually liked me. Not the fake version I was trying to project, but the actual me. The psychological research backs this up too. There's this whole field of study about authenticity and social connection. And what they found is that vulnerability and realness create way stronger bonds than perfection ever could. When you admit you're nervous, when you laugh at yourself, when you show up as an actual person with flaws and quirks, people's brains recognize that as safe and trustworthy. We're wired to connect with real humans, not with polished performances. So if you're someone who keeps failing at first impressions, I want you to try something. Next time you're about to meet someone new, instead of asking yourself, how do I impress this person? Ask yourself, how can I be genuinely curious about this person? Don't worry about seeming confident or interesting or whatever you think you need to be. Just show up, be real, be yourself, even if your self is awkward or nervous or imperfect. Because here's the truth. People don't remember your handshake or your outfit or your rehearsed stories. They remember how you made them feel. And nothing makes people feel better than being in the presence of someone who's authentically themselves. This isn't about lowering your standards or giving up on making good impressions. It's about understanding that the whole game changes when you stop performing and start connecting. Your first impression gets better the moment you stop trying to control it and start being present. Trust me on this. I went from someone who murdered every first impression to someone who actually enjoys meeting new people. And the only thing that changed was my attitude going in. All right, so we've talked about the mindset, but now let's get into the physical stuff that's happening in those first 7 seconds when you meet someone. And yeah, I said 7 seconds. That's how long it takes for someone's brain to size you up and decide if you're trustworthy or competent or worth their time. 7 seconds, that's it. That's all you get. And most of that judgment is happening before you even finish saying your name. Here's where it gets wild. Research shows that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal. 93%, which means all the clever things you're planning to say account for like 7% of the impression you're making. Your body is doing all the talking. And if you're like I used to be, your body is probably screaming, I'm uncomfortable and I don't know what to do with my hands, and please don't look at me too closely. Let me paint you a picture of how badly I used to screw this up. Imagine a stick figure version of me walking into a networking event, shoulders hunched forward like I'm trying to make myself as small as possible, arms crossed over my chest like I'm physically protecting myself from human interaction. I'd shuffle up to someone with my eyes glued to the floor, then suddenly remember I'm supposed to make eye contact. So I'd snap my head up and stare at them with this weird, intense gaze that probably made me look like a serial killer. Then came the handshake. Oh God, the handshake. Where I'd either go full death grip trying to prove I was confident, or I'd do this limp fish thing where my hand just kind of flopped into theirs like a dead salmon. The whole performance was a disaster. And the crazy thing is, I had no idea I was doing any of this. I thought I was being normal. But if you could have seen me from the outside, I looked like someone who'd never interacted with humans before and was trying to fake it based on a description they'd read in a book. So, after enough of these train wrecks, I started studying body language like my social life depended on it, because honestly, it did. And what I found changed everything about how I show up in those first few seconds. The first thing I learned is that your posture is sending a message before you even reach the other person. When you walk into a room with your shoulders back and your head up, not in an arrogant way, but just like you have a right to exist in that space, people's brains register you as confident and competent. But when you slouch or hunch or try to make yourself small, their brains flag you as insecure or untrustworthy. And here's the kicker. You can't override that impression with your words later. I started practicing this thing where, before I walked into any social situation, I'd spend like 30 seconds in the bathroom or the car doing what researchers call power poses. You literally just stand there with your shoulders back and your chest open and your feet planted. And apparently, This actually changes your hormones. It increases your confidence chemicals and decreases your stress chemicals. I felt like an idiot doing it at first, standing in a bathroom stall like I'm about to go into battle. But the difference it made was insane. Now let's talk about eye contact, because this is where most people either underdo it or overdo it in really creepy ways. I used to think good eye contact meant staring directly into someone's soul without blinking, like I was trying to establish dominance or something. Turns out that's terrifying, and people will literally back away from you if you do that. Good eye contact is more natural. You look at someone when they're talking to show you're listening. You look away occasionally when you're thinking or gathering your thoughts, and you look back when you're responding. It's this natural rhythm that signals I'm engaged, but I'm not trying to hypnotize you. The handshake thing took me forever to figure out. For years, I was either crushing people's hands or giving them the dead fish, and both are terrible. The key is to match their pressure. Go for a firm grip, but not a competition. And here's the part nobody tells you. Hold it for like 2 or 3 seconds while you're making eye contact and saying their name. That combination, the physical touch, plus the eye contact, plus using their name, creates this little moment of connection that your brain registers as trustworthy. But here's what really matters, and this ties back to what we talked about in the first chapter. All of these body language things only work if they're coming from a genuine place. If you're standing there with perfect posture and great eye contact, but inside you're panicking and performing, people will pick up on that disconnect. There's this thing called micro expressions, tiny facial movements that last like a fraction of a second, and they reveal your true emotions even when you're trying to hide them. You can't fake authenticity. Your face will literally betray you. So what I had to do was combine the internal mindset shift with the external body language adjustments. I'd remind myself before walking in, I'm not here to impress anyone, I'm here to connect. And then I'd use the physical tools, shoulders back, natural eye contact, firm handshake, to support that genuine intention. When those two things align, when your body language matches your internal state of openness and curiosity, that's when the magic happens. One more thing about body language that blew my mind. People unconsciously mirror each other when they're connecting. If you're talking to someone and you both start adopting similar postures or gestures, that's a sign that rapport is building. You can actually use this intentionally. If you subtly mirror someone's body language, not in an obvious way, but just matching their energy level or their stance, it creates this subconscious sense of similarity and trust. It's like your bodies are having a conversation underneath the words. The bottom line is this: your body is communicating constantly. And in those first 7 seconds, it's the only thing people are really paying attention to. You can have the best intentions and the most interesting things to say, but if your body is saying, I'm uncomfortable, or I'm fake, or I don't want to be here, that's the message that's getting through. Learn to use your posture, your eye contact, your handshake, and your overall physical presence to support the authentic connection you're trying to make. It's not about performing confidence. It's about embodying the genuine curiosity and openness that makes people feel safe and valued in your presence.